Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Board, and today's mailbag presented by Manscaped. Does anybody need to spice things up in the bedroom a little bit? Bet you Manscaped can help out with that. Go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. First one, we're rolling in here, a super chat from Bean from 96. Mitch, do I hold off on buying tickets to the Raiders versus Vikings? I say this.
I would buy them.
If you have the opportunity to get Raiders tickets, I always think that you should take the advantage and do it, because to me, when I go watch football games, it's more about the memory. You might not remember exactly how the game goes, but you're going to remember who you went to the game with. Like, I remember more from my first Raiders game and the last Raiders game I ever went to, more than like actually how the game went itself. I also had a few drinks those games. But on top of that, though, if you want to wait, if the Raiders are bad, I bet you those tickets are a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the only thing. I wouldn't say, like, don't go to a game this year just because you don't think the Raiders are going to be that good. Because regardless, I mean, one, I think the Vikings, I don't know how good they're going to be this year. So that's one game that I would say, like, go for it. Yep. But two, you might want to wait. They might become a little cheaper. And three, you know, at the end of the day, if you really don't feel like doing that, come watch it with us.
Hell yeah. It is right after the bye week for both teams, so something to keep in mind. Let's go to Christopher. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Matty Ice.
Stop.
I don't want Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan is any good anymore. I don't think he's been good for quite some time. I mean, if you watched any kind of Colts games last season, he had a noodle arm. Like, Derek Carr looked like Patrick Mahomes compared to Matt Ryan. He's got a noodle.
You can't let Matt Ryan in the facility. I'm sorry.
Honestly, though, Matt Ryan seems like a quarterback McDaniels would go for, because he's just like a system QB at this point.
Unless you want Caleb Williams or Drake May 100%. I mean, maybe in that case you sign Matt Ryan.
I mean, if that's your case where you want one of those two guys, just roll out Brian Hoyer. Just say F it and go for the number one pick. Yeah. Shadow Source, is Gruden back? Gruden right now is working with the New Orleans Saints.
He's so back.
Which, it's a smart move for New Orleans. I mean, the last time we saw a good Derek Carr, when he threw for 27 touchdowns, he had only 9 interceptions. I mean, that was with John Gruden in 2021. And if Ruggs doesn't have his whole situation, like, God knows what would have happened that season. Like, Carr was starting to play. Carr was in the MVP discussion. He really, truly was. And then totally fell off. So I don't blame New Orleans for going this route.
And it's one of those things where it's like, obviously, like, we wanted to move on from Carr, but I don't think that means that we dislike him. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, in a relationship, at some points, it's not one person's fault. It's just you need, like, the mutual
breakup. Both sides needed the split.
Yes, exactly.
It was for the kids. Let's go to Kendrill Riggins. We move on from Carr to this foolishness. I feel like Josh McNuggets doesn't know what he's doing.
And that's the other part. I don't think Carr and McNuggets meshed at all.
No, they definitely didn't. Where I do think that it was the 100% right thing to do to move on from Derek Carr. I do not dispute that at all. But I also don't believe in Josh McDaniels, and I feel like I've been the front runner of I don't believe in the Josh McDaniels train. The unfortunate part is Mark Davis is going to go with McDaniels aside, and because of that, it was time to move on from DC. And I'll say this, though, like, I don't really believe in McDaniels, and I hope that I'm wrong in saying that I hope I can take the L, but I really hope that Mark Davis looks at how this Raiders team has run, and I hope that even if he decides to move on from McDaniels, he keeps Ziegler, because Ziegler has done already a lot of things with his contracts, and he is very well respected in the NFL, and I really do truly like his NFL mind. It's just he's got to
even with the DC contract.
Oh, the DC contract, the Renfrow contract, the Waller, like, he did a lot of good in those deals, and he has gotten good talent. It's just McDaniels has struggled to be the right head coach for the job. Let's go to CEMD. JK, which team do you think tries to trade for Renfrow? I mean, we continue to talk about this team. It's the Saints. It has to be. Now, there's going to be other teams out there. Like, I think Minnesota is a team. They lost Adam Thielen.
So I actually saw a trade idea earlier.
Yeah.
Let me whip it up for you real quick.
All right. So I will continue to say that it's probably the New Orleans Saints. They have Derek Carr. You're working with John Gruden. I mean, the last time Hunter Renfrow was the Renfrow that we all fell in love with. He had over 100 catches. He was the main star in a John Gruden-led offense. And if I'm DC, I'm saying, hey, they don't want Renfrow. Let's bring him here. He can be that solid slot receiver that this team needs. They don't have Jarvis Landry anymore. I get that Michael Thomas is there, but Michael Thomas might as well just be Jimmy Garappolo. You don't know if he's going to be out there, if he's going to be healthy or safe.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Oh, my.
I saw this trade request in the chat. Once again, don't shoot the messenger.
You're trying to get me reported.
This is something I saw in the chat earlier.
This is something that Trace also sent me, which is kind of funny. Jameis Winston for Hunter Renfrow? No. I get that Jameis is the backup QB, and I get the fact that I get the fact now that, Jimmy Garappolo is, you don't know what you're going to get, but this is a big fat no.
Jameis can throw 30 touchdowns in a season.
I just don't think he fits what McDaniels wants to do at all, because in McDaniels' offense, you need to be able to take care of the football.
Okay, I would also say no to this.
Okay.
I would also say no, but this isn't about what I have to say, Mitch.
Okay.
It's not even about what you have to say.
You're right. How about this? Would you make this trade? Give me a yes, give me a no. Also, the thing that I love about mailbag trade ideas, I'm going to take a screenshot of this, post it on Twitter, and you're hearing me say this right now. People go nuts when I put a mailbag trade idea that comes out, and I'm going to tag Jeremy in this one just so I don't take all the heat for it. But my answer is a big fat no. It doesn't make any sense for the Raiders to do this. Yeah, you're saving money, but I'm good, man. I'm so good on this. I'd rather you just roll with Aidan O'Connell or Brian Hoyer. Let's go to Mika. Hopefully I pronounced that right. We should trade for McCaffrey to put at quarterback. I'd rather just trade for Jameis Winston in that case. I mean, you're not gonna trade for McCaffrey. I know you're trolling here. $16 million. Though McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs in the backfield, that'd be interesting.
And if you're watching live, we've had a lot of quarterback questions in the chat. Mitch is going to reveal 10 quarterbacks Raiders could start if Garoppolo doesn't play this season. Here's another one. Gage.
Why don't we nab Cam Newton? Do we know if he knows McDaniels' system? Here's the thing. We do know that he's not good at McDaniels' system. Cam Newton was the quarterback, and I actually have some stat graphics on it, so if you want to pull those in.
We do know.
So before McDaniels joined the Raiders, and this is still true, the worst offense McDaniels has ever orchestrated in his entire career, okay, as an offensive coordinator, was led by Cam Newton. Now, I will admit, Newton was an MVP caliber QB the first 4 weeks. Then he got COVID, and then after that, I mean, he was terrible. New England was terrible. I believe they were 27th in the league in red zone efficiency. From a passing standpoint, in 15 starts, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, not what you're looking for. From a rushing standpoint, you know that Cam could pick up rushing yards, but at this point in his career, the older and older he gets, I am not very confident in his ability to be able to run the football the way that he did even just back in 2020. So Cam Newton, this is a big fat no. Why? Because I'm not confident that he can run the offense that McDaniels wants to try to be able to execute. Something that I am confident in is Manscaped's products making you look great. If you're just getting to the red zone and not scoring, it's probably because you're downstairs. It doesn't have what it takes to really reach the end zone. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code Raiders, and where you can save 20% off and get free shipping on all of the best male grooming products out there. The Lawnmower 4.0 will continuously be the #1 product that I use from them for the simple fact of I can use it on my balls. I have a different trimmer for my chest. Don't worry, I'm not that gross. I also use it on my face as well. Another different trimmer. But also, if you want to get your hands on the perfect package, which if you're stuck on the 1 yard line and you're really trying to punch it in, this is the product that's going to help you do that. You're going to get the ball toner, which makes your balls smell good. Ball deodorant, if you're out chilling in Vegas during a tailgate, and if you don't think that you're going to have some Famunda cheese down there, I'm going to respectfully disagree. All I would try to do is have a little fun on the show, but also show you products that I use, that I endorse, and I promise you're going to find a lot of use out of them as well. The boxers, most comfortable boxers I'll ever wear. Promo code Raiders. Get your hands on the perfect package. And who knows? She might put her hands on your perfect package. Let's go to Kendall. What's going on with Josh Jacobs? Nothing really new here.
Huge game of chicken.
Yeah,
it's
Jacobs
him
wants
and
to get
Saquon.
Paid. Jacobs wants to get paid. Saquon Barkley wants to get paid. Jacobs from what I understand, wants to be a Raider. McDaniels and Ziegler also want him to be a Raider. I am confident that a deal ends up getting done, and because the Raiders know they have until middle of July, that's when you're going to see that deal probably get done. Like there's that old expression, deadlines make deals in the NFL. Yeah. That's going to be the case here with Jacobs. So after June 1st, they're going to sort out a few other contracts. They're going to bring in a few other key free agents, and then the closer and closer you get to the middle of July, that's when we're going to get the deal.
Honestly, I think it's one of those situations where if neither of them get a long-term deal, I think they both just end up signing the franchise tag. Correct. But if one of them signs a deal, if Josh Jacobs signs a deal, Saquon's going to be like, hey, look at his deal. I want that. And if Saquon signs a deal, Jacobs is going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think the other problem with the franchise tag is, running backs, it's not smart for them to hold out. You kind of saw what happened with Le'Veon Bell. If you don't play, you don't get paid on the franchise tag. And Jacobs was coming off the best season he's ever had. And the NFL is also very recency bias. So if he doesn't play for an entire season, there's going to be NFL teams that hold that against him. Jacobs will play this season, whether that be signing the franchise tag. However, I do see them giving him a 3-year contract extension. Ziegler works his magic, backloads it a little bit, and still gives Jacobs some of the guaranteed money. Let's go to John Borelli, Mount Raider more. F it, bring in Cam. He has delusional as McDaniels. I mean, he did say that he's a top 32 quarterback still in this league. Maybe. I just haven't seen enough of Cam Newton to actually believe that. The other problem is this, for the Raiders, their offense to me is an offense when you got Jacoby Myers, you got Devontae Adams, you have Michael Mayer, Austin Hooper. This team does want to try to pass the football. Cam Newton's not the guy.
I was just about to say, you've been screaming from the mountaintops this whole offseason, Devontae Adams will not get traded. Devontae Adams will not get traded. I'll tell you this. If they go out and they start Cam Newton week 1, Devontae Adams might demand a trade.
He won't.
You go from your best friend in Derek Carr, and then they're like, you know what, we're gonna take your input. We're gonna let you know about the quarterback situation. And then they bring in a guy who can't even throw the ball, and you're supposed to be the best wide receiver in the NFL. And you can't get the ball.
They wouldn't bring in Cam. They would. You're just gonna roll out with Aidan O'Connell.
I don't think they do either. But if they did, could you imagine what would be going on through Devontae Adams' head? He'd probably be like that movie Get Out, get me out of here.
If the Raiders were dumb enough to bring in Cam Newton, do I think Cam Newton is better than Aidan O'Connell right now? Honestly, probably. He probably is better. But Cam Newton has no upside. Aidan O'Connell is at least maybe he could be something. And if he's bad, he's bad. You got to give him a shot. Going with Cam Newton, even going with Brian Hoyer, it makes zero sense.
Yeah.
So I hope that's not the case.
Unless you're trying to T-word.
Yep, unless you're trying to tank. Let's go to Lucky. So we are going to be last place in the AFC. Are we going to beat the Donkeys? The Raiders have won 6 straight against the Donkeys, so I'm going to continue to say that we will. I still think Garappolo is going to be out there week 1, right? Yeah. And for that reason, the Raiders are going to be the better team. They're going to take care of business against Denver. However, though, if you don't have Garappolo at quarterback, I do think, even though Garappolo is very mediocre, there's a big difference between being a mediocre quarterback like Garappolo, and then you go to Hoyer and then Aidan O'Connell, who's literally never played in the NFL.
There's levels to it.
So, Brian Hoyer and Aidan O'Connell are not top 40 quarterbacks in the league right now. They're not. So you go from that far, and this was a Raiders team that won 6 games last season. I actually don't know if they've improved all that much. I can make an argument for both sides of it. Their defense has still got a lot of unknowns. But there is a chance that the Raiders, to me, without Garappolo, they are 100% of that contention for bottom 5 team in the NFL.
If Brian Hoyer starts, this could be the first season in quite a while where the Raiders' defense is significantly better than the Raiders' offense.
If Brian Hoyer starts 17 games for the Raiders, they win 4 games. And that's with having Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. That's how frustrating that sentence is, because this team does have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football. They have some upside on defense as well, but when your quarterback's just that bad, that's a tough one to wrap your mind around, man.
Carter's been sending this one in. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Trade for Tua? Absolutely not. Tua's
I hear Will in the background screaming.
Tua's might be even more injury prone right now than Jimmy Garappolo. I get Tua had a good year this past season in Miami. That offense, though, tons of talent. he had 3 concussions last year. I mean, he is one hit away from literally having to hang it up and never play in the NFL again. I don't want anything to do with Tua. No. I'd rather have Derek Carr than Tua. So make sure you're locked in here on Raiders coverage 24/7, 365 for the low price of
free.
That sounds pretty good to me. So if you're looking for free Raiders videos, I promise you, for the next 365 days, free videos here on this channel.
It's on sale.
It's a good sale. Buy now. Darnell, which free agent are the Raiders most likely to sign after June 1st? I mean, the answer might be Marcus Peters because they actually brought him in on a visit. But I'm just going to continue to go with what I think the Raiders do. And if McDaniels and Ziegler know you, plus it's a fit, I will continue to go with the guy. I'm going to say Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy still fits what Patrick Graham wants to do. He can still help be that player coach. They need help on the defensive side of the football. Kyle Van Noy is the answer here, and it should be.
And we talked about it
earlier. It's frustrating that he's not on the team.
We talked about it earlier in the mailbag, possibly trading Renfrow, getting some of that money. I think the best move would be, trading Renfrow and then using that money to sign a couple of these free agents to bolster the defense. We talked about it earlier. I mean, the Saints, a couple other teams that need wide receiver help could definitely use Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah,
Hunter Renfrow might be getting phased out of the Raiders offense. I don't know.
You trade Renfrow, you save $11.6 million. Use that 11.6, go out, and if I was the Raiders, I'd use that 11.6, which now they might have to be a little bit more conservative with it because they might be worried on the whole quarterback situation. But if I'm the Raiders, if it's not Jimmy G, you're just like, F it, we're just going to figure it out. But what team do you think tries to trade for Renfrow?
I think it's the Saints.
I think it's the Saints, too. I do think the Vikings, though, are actually an intriguing team. Those would be the top 2.
Speaking of the Vikings.
All right. What up, Pat? Kirk Cousins. That would be my gamble crazy. So you're saying the Raiders trade for Cousins?
That's what he's saying.
I'll say this. If Kirk Cousins is traded this season, it's not to the Raiders. It's to the Niners. Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins are in love. They don't need Manscaped to get together type of deal. They love each other very much.
They're well past that.
Correct. Let's go to Papaya Man 89. I find it hard to believe that Jimmy won't be ready by week 1. If for some reason he can't play, you got to play the rookie. We're going 10-7 this year. I love the
woo.
If the Raiders go 10-7 this year, that means Aidan O'Connell is that dude. For him to have that type of season, 10-7, I mean, McDaniels did get a 10-7 season out of Mac Jones, which I actually don't think Mac Jones and Aidan O'Connell are that much different from the original prospect of them coming out of college. Mac Jones had a lot of hype, but when you look at the amount of talent that Jones had in college compared to Aidan O'Connell, go look at the receivers Aidan O'Connell's throwing to at Purdue. They're Purdue wide receivers. That's the easiest way. That offense is a Purdue Big Ten offense. It sucks. Aidan O'Connell's a smart player. However, I agree with you that I find it hard to believe that Garappolo won't be ready by week 1 either. However, everybody's different. People are different, right? People said that Adrian Peterson won't be ready after an ACL injury. 6 months later, he ends up winning the NFL MVP, right? So there's always people that are different. Garappolo has proved that he's also different in the bad way, that he can't heal from injuries. He's
built different in a bad way.
He's not built Ford tough. If Ford's ever a sponsor here, we have to get a new quarterback because that's 100%. Just not Jimmy G, man. Let's go to Frederick. Is it true the offense was ranked 12th and the defense was ranked 28th last year? Raiders forever. I think it depends what metrics you look at. If you look at points last season, the Raiders, I believe, were 12 and then 26th in total points. So I guess I don't know what exactly metrics you're pulling or what metrics you're looking at. It depends. I can take any sample of stats.
I'm telling you this. If the Raiders were the 12th best offense last year, I don't know what happened in that Saints game. That was not the 12th best offense in the NFL.
Well, the Raiders were good yards-wise. They might have been 12th in yards also. Again, when you look at ESPN, NFL.com, PFF, all these different places have different rankings. So tell me where you're ranking from. I'd love to be able to break it down for you a little bit more.
I'd love to rank it with you.
I'll say this, though, on eye test-wise, Raiders weren't a top 12 offense, and I'll also say eye test-wise, they weren't that bad of a defense. I actually think their defense before they had some injuries were trending in the right direction. I think they were closer to 20th than they were 28th from the eye test. Now, if you want to see me take down Jermaine Illuminor, June 10th is the date. However, as you can see down below, we got a brand new time update. It's going to be from 12 to 3 p.m. We had to change it because the Las Vegas Knights, well, they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and Barcode Burger, he already sold tickets for Game 4. He does like watch party stuff, if you will, at Barcode Burger. So essentially, if you want to come hang out with Chugs and I, get there at 12, chill for the wing eating contest with some other Raiders players, and then we're just going to be hanging out there watching the Knights game. He packs the place. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to bring my Raiders Knights jersey. That way I can chill with that. It's a really cool event. It's going to be $40 to get in, and all the proceeds go to a charity. So it's for a good cause. It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope to see you there. Again, 12 to 3 p.m., June 10th. Me against Jermaine Illuminor. There's going to be autographs, pictures. You're going to get to meet Chugs, other Raiders players, other NFL players. It's going to be a hell of a time. Please put it in your calendar, 12 to 3 p.m. I'm taking down Jermaine Illuminor.